They didn't know the mountain had eyes. 3 men, hearts pounding with greed, slung over worn backpacks and rickety tools, scaled the jagged fence at dawn, chasing whispers of gold buried deep in the soil. Ach! The sun had barely risen, spilling pale light across the rocky ridge, when a voice, calm and sharp as a blade, cut through the morning air. "You shouldn't be here." Startled, the thieves froze. Their bravado dissolved instantly. What they didn't see, what they could not have guessed, was the owner of this land, someone who had once walked battlefields far deadlier than this, was watching. A former Navy SEAL sniper, now a recluse, had claimed this mountain as his sanctuary, and he did not welcome intruders. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you re-watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The exile, known to the world only as Marcus, had retreated to this remote peak years ago, seeking peace after the chaos of war. The wind whistled through the crags, carrying the scent of pine and the faint tank of rain from a storm the night before. Marcus crouched behind a boulder, his eyes scanning every movement, every shift in the morning light. His rifle, precise and silent, rested against the stone. But his mind was not just on the weapon, it was on the responsibility he felt. This was his home. Yes, but more than that. It was a haven from the violence he had once wielded. These men threatened both. The thieves, emboldened by ignorance, approached the ridge where gold veins supposedly ran like rivers through the rocks. Their tools scraped and dug, echoing through the otherwise still mountains. Sweat dripped from their brows, their hands trembling not from exertion, but from the anticipation of wealth. Every shadow seemed to twist and loom, yet they laughed it off, unaware of the eyes following their every motion. Marcus observed silently, calculating. His mind flickered between lessons from his past missions and the moral quandary of the present. Could he stop them without bloodshed? Could he protect his land without unleashing the violence he had left behind? Suddenly, the smallest of the trio, a wiry man with desperate eyes, stumbled over a loose stone. The sound was minor, yet it carried across the ridge like a gunshot to Marcus. He exhaled slowly, remembering the first mission that had taught him patience, the quiet before a decisive strike. The ex-SEAL had always believed in precision over chaos. So he waited. Minutes stretched into eternity. Dust rose with every careless step the intruders took, dancing in the sunlight like sparks of gold itself. Marcus's heartbeat synchronized with the rhythm of the mountain, the whisper of wind, the creak of branches, the almost inaudible shift of rock underfoot. He could strike in an instant, yet he chose to observe, understanding the human greed that propelled them. He saw their fear, their doubt, and yes, their humanity. Then came the moment when greed blinded caution. One thief bent over, hammering at a rock that seemed to promise untold riches. The others argued quietly, tense whispers cutting through the morning calm. And in that instant, Marcus made his move not with bullets, but with precision and strategy honed over years of conflict. He appeared suddenly on the ridge, a shadow moving with the inevitability of the sunrise. One man froze. One cursed under his breath. And one, the wiry, desperate one, collapsed to his knees, realizing they had underestimated the mountain's master. Marcus spoke, calm but unyielding. "Leave. Now." The silence that followed was heavy. The air seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly, the men turned, stumbling down the slope, their dreams of gold vanishing into the clouds. Marcus watched them go, not with glee, but with quiet relief. He felt the mountain exhale along with him. And yet as they disappeared into the mist, a part of him wondered, was this justice or simply survival? Could he allow them to leave with their pride intact, knowing what they sought was never truly theirs to claim? The moral tension lingered, like the echo of distant gunfire, unresolved but undeniable. When Marcus finally returned to his cabin, the sunlight had shifted. Dust clung to his boots, and the wind whispered through the open windows, carrying the scent of pine and earth. He poured himself a cup of coffee and sat, looking out over the ridge. The mountain was quiet once more, the thieves nothing more than a memory, a lesson in vigilance and restraint, because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. The gold, the mountain, the fear, they were all temporary. What mattered was the choice to protect, the decision to act with purpose rather than impulse, the courage to stand guard over what mattered most. Marcus understood that courage wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was simply stillness in the right moment, the patience to watch and wait. As the sun dipped low, painting the rocks with streaks of amber and crimson, he allowed himself a rare smile. The mountain had been his teacher, and today, it had reminded him of everything he had once fought for: honor, restraint, and the quiet satisfaction of doing what was right. If you were there with Marcus, standing on that ridge, feeling the tension of the wind and the dust in your eyes, you'd know this truth. Bravery doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, and those who listen carefully hear it the loudest. So remember, sometimes the greatest battles are fought not with bullets but with patience, wisdom, and the courage to protect what is truly yours. If this story gripped you, leave a comment below and subscribe. Share where you're watching from, and join us on more journeys where ordinary people face extraordinary choices. Because every mountain has its guardian, and every story deserves a listener.